Hare Krishna. Mentally junk, the mental junk. Sometimes when we acquire a lot of junk, then we need to junk the junk. Sometimes something might have been very valuable and even glamorous at one time, but as time passes, its value decreases and then it becomes not only unglamorous, it also becomes of little use. So, for example, we use so many electronic gadgets, but what might be a glamorous product today may after a few years become so outdated as to seem primitive and may have just a little value above junk, not much value. So at that time, when we recognize its relative valuelessness, we need to be willing to junk the junk. We need to, that means discard the thing, recognizing that it is just junk. So we need to do something similar with our inner world also, with our inner territory also. Sometimes based on the world's glamorization, we may hold certain ideas, certain thoughts, certain emotions as very important, as treasured. But as we become spiritually advanced, we realize that this is actually not of much value. This is just junk. When we recognize that it is junk, then we need to junk the junk. Now, this is the mental junk. That means within our mind, there are certain things which you are considered to be very important, very precious. But as we become purified, our values change. So, for example, materialistic people, or especially people who are given to sense gratification, they take sensual impressions, they take obscene imagery, they actually fill the internet with that and search for that constantly, and they spend time, energy, and money to just to watch such obscene imagery. And although they, so basically through they, even if they did not say it like that, they in one sense treasure those imagery, although it's a trash which is not worth treasuring. But because lust has distorted one's intelligence, so one holds on to that, so they hold on to that and treasure that. But when we become spiritually advanced, our sense of discernment becomes activated. Then what happens is we recognize this is right, this is wrong, and this what we thought earlier as pleasurable, even irresistible. We realize that actually this is abominable. What is the point of this level of enjoyment? So we recognize that we are meant to reciprocate in an eternal loving relationship with the all attractive Supreme. And rather than delighting in that relationship, we are craving for and slaving for some petty pleasures based on some imagined perceptions which are just some pixel patterns on some computers, some LCD screen, LED or LCD screen. So we understand that this craving is actually of no use, and then we become willing to give it up. So when we recognize that this is impure, and we learn to trash it, so at that time we need to mentally trash the mentally junk the mental junk. The Krishna says that the mind can act as a enemy because the mind gets caught and consumed by certain things. So he says that indriyani mano buddhir asyadhishthana uchyate etair vimohayatesha. So indriyani mano buddhir. So in the senses, in the mind and the intelligence, the lust is situated. So the sensual impressions are situated in all these places. They are basically situated in the inner territory. So we need to drive them out, and we need to use our mind. Of course, we use our intelligence also. We use our intelligence to empty the mind, but it's an inner act which we have to do. So mentally junk the mental junk. Now the way to junk this is not by just trying to drive it out, because we may drive it out and we'll find that it's immovable, or even if we drive it out, it comes back in that imagery. But instead, if we replace it by filling our mind with Krishna, by purifying ourselves in the mood of devotion to Krishna and invoking Krishna's presence through absorption in devotional activities, then we will be able to junk this junk automatically, because we will recognize, we will have got something much more valuable, much more treasurable. And in comparison with that supreme treasure of the remembrance of Krishna, the memories of trivial objects will be, of sensually alluring objects, will become pale and stale, and we'll be able to junk them. Thank you. Hare Krishna.